Hey Kings and Dragons, Dragon King 551, and we're doing something a little differently here. This video is about Jim Harbaugh's success and how he's become a really good coach, and it took a lot of time to develop the team that we are today for the Michigan Wolverines football team and, winning games and continually having those winning seasons and to compete for a national championship. As you guys can see right down here, I have a script, and this is an article that I did for school, but it is about the movie that most people know, and it is called Moneyball. So everyone knows the idea of Moneyball and how it came to be and how the Oakland A's were the way that they are. So I'm going to talk about in this video about the Moneyball strategy that people used and Billy Beane used and Peter used in this approach to be successful for the Oakland A's and how it worked. So the same thing can be said going into football as well, that you don't always have to look for the 5-star recruit. Now, remember, guys, a 5-star recruit going into college football versus a 1-star recruit just means that 5-star got more exposure. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a superstar and going to be really good. And that's where I'm going to bring up certain schools like Ohio State, where they've had, I don't know how many exactly, but I think it was like 12 in total of like 7 5-stars and 4 or 5 4-star recruits and stuff, or they had a lot. And look what happened to them. Michigan beat them and stuff. Because here's the thing, Urban Meyer had had a great team and great recruits coming in, and he basically retires, gives the keys to the city to Ryan Day, gives him the keys to compete for national championships, and he loses 2018, 2019 against Clemson. Oh my goodness, loses to them twice, and all of this continues to lose, can't win a national championship, and gets to a national championship. The only time Urban Meyer won one is because Urban Meyer's a really good coach, beats Alabama in the first year of the college football playoff. Other than that, they squandered the talent around them. Ryan Day squanders the talent. And I'm telling you, Michigan doesn't need always 5-star recruits to be successful. Yeah, it's true that Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo were the superstars on our team last year, but we didn't win a national championship because of that, because we only had 2 stars. Now everyone is really good on our defensive side, and we have really good offensive star power as well. You don't need a 5-star recruit to be great. Will Johnson's a 5-star recruit, but you don't need it. So that being said, guys, I'm going to read what I have here for Moneyball and explain why Jim Harbaugh's success has been more successful and looking for guys that fit his scheme over guys of the star factor. So after viewing the movie of Moneyball, the 5 traits that made Billy and Peter's approach work so well were the initial findings that they based players on their stats, not on their star power. So there you go, guys. Not on the star power so far. Peter Brand was the one who brought this theory into focus, and Billy Beane was on the same page with him. Billy found when going to different meetings, managers were just looking at ridiculous things, like someone's girlfriend was not hot enough and so forth and stuff like that. The next important thing is that Billy also realized that it didn't matter if a player got a hit at the plate, or got a walk. He wanted the player to get on base so they could score. Billy knew hitting doesn't get you to score. You need to get on base to score. Billy and Peter were on the same page, realizing this was an important factor. This was an important factor because just hitting the ball does not necessarily mean you're going to get on base by hitting. So I'm going to stop there for a second. What that means is, does it matter in basketball or football how you get points? No. Does it matter if the ball is stripped and he picks it up and runs it back for a touchdown? No. Does it matter if he runs it back for a pick six and intercepts it and runs it back? No. Does it matter if the running back does it? Does it matter if the quarterback does it? No. Points are points. It's the same in basketball. A 3-pointer is a 3-pointer. It doesn't matter how you get the 3 points. If someone fouls you at the 3-point line while you're in the act of shooting, but you don't get the shot off and release the ball in time, you get 3 points at the line, 2 plus 1 and 1, a 4-point play. It doesn't matter. Points are points. It doesn't matter how you get it. So if the outfielders could catch the ball, you're automatically going to get out. You want to get on base to score. So that is why Billy acknowledged in his meetings he didn't care if it was a walk or a hit. He just wants the player to get on base. It's better to get on base than always hitting the ball and stuff because you're not going to get there and stuff. When Peter and Billy sat together going over all this information, they were then ready to meet with their staff and try to find the players they needed. Billy wanted to hire players that were very cheap. The staff was appalled. But as Billy explained, he found value in a lot of these players that no one else could see. Maybe they didn't have a big name, but their stats were good and what was needed to win the game. So, yeah, their stats were better, but their names weren't good, okay? So, yeah, okay, I want Aaron Judge, okay, but I want someone that you've never heard of. Okay, I'll take John Williams or something, right? And I'll take one of these guys that is not a big name and stuff, but he does really well and stuff. Sometimes you don't hear of him. So, yeah, maybe they didn't have the big name. Billy and Peter had hindsight into this fact. It wasn't easy trying to convince the staff to follow through, but Billy went ahead and hired these players. There were a lot of resistance from the coach, especially when there were no changes happening as the game started. Now, obviously, I'm saying coach because I don't feel like switching from manager to coach back and forth. Billy explained that the sample was too small to have a change and that by July, they would see things turning around. Remember, a sample size in statistics, 30 or more is a correct sample size to prove that your hypothesis and your testing is correct and stuff. If you have less than that, your sample size is too small and you cannot be accurate in your approach. He also knew that the coach's resistance was the biggest problem here. Billy knew the setup for each player was not being followed to his standards. The media decided to try to give the credit to the coach instead of actually giving the credit to Billy, which is true, guys. They didn't give the credit to Billy in the movie. And, sometimes the front office are the guys that are actually succeeding, where the coach is not the guy. He just, puts the product on the field and stuff. And, those guys are getting what they are. But in college, for example, Jim Harbaugh is actually the coach who's actually building relationships with the guys and stuff because he's the GM in college. Whereas in the NFL and in the pros, it's a completely different story. But that's that. And Peter, who are the ones behind this genius plan and making the team successful. The coach absolutely did nothing. And that's true. The manager absolutely did nothing in the movie. He didn't do anything. This forced Billy to start trading off people from the team, even though they were good players. This would force the coach to use the remaining players Billy hired and wanted them to play so the team could be more successful, which it did. But they still did not give the credit to Billy and Peter, which is sad in a way because it technically was their ideas, and changing the game from being about star power to an economic thing and seeing statistics is the way that it went. The media believe that because the Oakland A's did not make it to the World Series, Billy's strategy was a failure. However, this was not the case with the Red Sox owner. He saw that this was successful and wanted Billy Beane to become the manager of the team. So in the case of the media, they were completely wrong to bash Billy's plan and strategy because it did work. Now, guys, remember, in my dominance video, I explained how winning a championship and making playoffs are two different tiers to being dominant. One is making the playoffs. One is winning your conference championship and making it into the World Series. So it was a successful plan because the Oakland A's did make the playoffs, and you can use an economic strategy to make baseball more successful. So there you go, guys. You can use an economic strategy. It's just that it was successful because they made the playoffs, but they didn't win a World Series. As proven by the Red Sox a year later, they won the World Series by using the strategy that made the A's so successful. So there you go. The Red Sox used the same implemented strategy, and it worked. Billy Beane was offered a substantial salary to come work for the Red Sox, but he stayed loyal to the Oakland A's. And sometimes loyalty is really good. Look at Jim Harbaugh. He tested the waters, but he said, I'm coming back to Michigan, and he stayed loyal, and he said, I'm not leaving anytime soon. It took time, but eventually the Baseball League found out that analytics and data science definitely changed the game. So there you go. in any sport, including baseball, it has become more of an economic strategy than just looking for a superstar from the top college that won a national championship, Deshaun Watson or Baker Mayfield winning a Heisman, or looking for a superstar player. That is why it does not matter if a player is a 5-star recruit or a 1-star recruit going into college, or if a player is selected in the first round of the draft or the last round. You can have good players anywhere. Look at Dak Prescott. He was a 4-star. He's pretty solid. Look at Tom Brady. He was selected in the 6th round of the NFL draft and has 7 Super Bowl rings. So there you go, guys. As I said, you can use economic strategies and more of a different approach to be successful. That's why Jim Harbaugh looks for guys that fit his scheme. Yes, it's great to have 5 stars that fit your scheme, but at time and time again, I have seen teams like Alabama at times lose. I've seen Georgia lose at times. I've seen this team lose at times. I've seen that team lose at times. I've seen Michigan State lose at times. You know why they lose? Because they continue to try to put a product of NFL star there and try to make a super team in college. It doesn't work. You can't do that. You have to develop your players. Now, granted, let's talk about Georgia for a second. I cannot say I hate Georgia or anything. Georgia, I hold you in a high respect because you guys know what you're doing. Your coaching staff knows how to develop those 5 stars and 4 stars into superstars. Alabama, there were some guys that transferred out 4 stars and 5 stars, but ultimately, these guys that fit their scheme are doing well. Now, yes, I see where the fans come and say, oh, yeah, because 5 stars and stuff, you need more 5-star and 4-star recruits to win national championships. No, you don't. Look at 1997, okay? National championship for Michigan. They didn't need all those 5 stars. You can look it up yourself. There weren't a lot of 5 stars on their team and stuff. They won a national championship, okay? Thanks to Charles Woodson and the defense and stuff. You can look it up yourself, guys. There are probably times in college football playoff history before the common era of the 4-team expansion or the BCS format where a team has won a national championship based off the chemistry that they have and not based off the superstar star power. So for me, I think Jim Harbaugh has become a really successful coach. The reason he's so successful is because he finds guys that fit his scheme and stuff and find guys that are dedicated. He doesn't find guys that are 5-star recruits and say, oh yeah, they're going to be great because they're a 5-star and then doesn't develop them. That's not how it works. You can't do that. You can't do that. Okay. I see it time and time again. The Big Ten, there are schools where they try to recruit all these superstars and they fail. Look at Penn State. They failed. They fell on their face. Ohio State, congratulations, you're back in the college football playoff. I'll give you credit for that, all right? I try to be a respectful fan and college football fan. I don't try to be one of those jerky Michigan fans or jerky other rival fans and say I hate you with all my guts. But I do, but I try to show respect as well. And ultimately, it's just ridiculous how you see teams squander everything. So, yeah, guys, these are my thoughts on why I think Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. I mean, he's been successful and he's finding guys that fit the scheme, not so much the other way around. So there you go, guys. You don't always need 5-star recruits and stuff. So Jim Harbaugh's success is finding guys that fit his scheme. And, he's been doing it. I don't need to say that much more. Now, yes, the 2-4 season, that was a fluke, but, we've always been run-heavy commitment team. And we tried to be one-dimensional and, we just played like dog crap in that. So it happens. But that was the pandemic year. Everyone was kind of crappy and stuff. You only had 2 teams. You only had Clemson and Alabama who actually played 10 or more games and stuff. So I don't know. It is what it is. There are some fluke years. Now, granted, yes, Michigan has had some terrible years from 2013 onward, but for that 7-8 year span, we did have some really good teams at 10-1 and stuff in 2016, 2015, 9-3. We had some good teams here and there with Jim Harbaugh. And, I think he's finally turned the corner where he can continue to compete at a high level to become, a national champion. I think that this year is a high possibility that he proves everyone wrong. He never won a Super Bowl. Is it possible he wins a national championship as a coach? Very high chance and stuff. They're knocking on the door. I think we definitely beat TCU. Hopefully we get to play Georgia and get our revenge. But yeah, that's all I got to say, guys. So until next time, guys, everybody guys stay radical. I'll see you in the next one. And yeah, this is how I explain Jim Harbaugh's success and why 5-star recruits don't really matter as much as I think. Yeah, stars don't matter. So those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think stars truly matter, or do you think it's more of how you develop a player? Because if a guy fits your scheme and develops them, that's how it works. But that's all I got to say. So until next time, guys, don't forget to stay radical. I'll see you in the next one.